Breaking news! Let's get to the latest updates on our team. There's been a lot going on behind the scenes. I'll give you all the details, but first make sure to hit that like button if you've been a fan for over 30 years. We have fans of all ages here, and that's awesome. Now, let's talk about some exciting news out of Detroit. Taylor Decker has just been named to his first Pro Bowl. That's right. The Lions have added another player to the 2025 Pro Bowl roster, and this is a huge accomplishment for Decker. It's been a long journey for him, but after 9 seasons with the Lions, he's finally getting the recognition he deserves. Decker, who was drafted by Detroit in the first round of the 2016 NFL Draft, has been a staple on the Lions' offensive line ever since. In fact, he has started 126 games over the course of his career, and this year he received an impressive 77.2 grade from Pro Football Focus, PFF, ranking 21st among all tackles in the NFL. His solid performance throughout the season caught the attention of Pro Bowl selectors, and while he was initially named a third alternate, some changes to the original roster opened up a spot for him. Here's the deal: right tackle Penei Sewell, who was originally scheduled to participate, will not make the trip to the Pro Bowl due to an injury. Sewell has been dealing with some issues, especially after being rolled up during the Lions' divisional round game against the Washington Commanders. While there hasn't been much information released about the severity of his injury, he was seen wearing a brace for the remainder of the game. So Decker will make the cut to represent the Lions on the Pro Bowl roster, marking a major accomplishment in his career. The addition of Decker brings the total number of Lions players for this year's Pro Bowl to 8. Along with Decker, the following players are expected to participate: quarterback Jared Goff, wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, running back Jahmyr Gibbs, center Frank Ragnow, safety Brian Branch, and punter Jack Fox. It's shaping up to be a great showing for Detroit, with some of our top talent getting the recognition they deserve. But let's take a step back for a moment and reflect on how impressive Decker's run has been. In an era where the NFL is full of dynamic players and evolving offensive lines, Decker has consistently held down the left tackle position for the Lions. He's been a reliable and durable force, and now, after nearly a decade in the league, he's finally getting a taste of what it's like to be an all-star. If you're a Lions fan, this is a time to celebrate. Decker earned it. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about another big decision looming over the Lions: what to do with Jameson Williams this offseason. The Lions front office has some big decisions to make when it comes to the roster, and Williams' future is one of the toughest decisions they'll have to make. Williams had a strong season, racking up over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. For most fans, it might seem like an easy decision to extend him. After all, he's shown that he has talent, and having a dynamic receiver like Williams could be a huge asset to the Lions' offense moving forward. But as impressive as his on-field performance has been, there are other factors at play here. You may recall that Williams faced a suspension this season for violating NFL policy, and he was also involved in an internal investigation by the Detroit Police Department for possession of a firearm. Now, I know that may not seem like a big deal to some of us, but for the Lions, these off-field issues are certainly something they need to consider. Add to that the fact that Williams is recovering from an ACL injury, and there's some real uncertainty about his long-term stability. So while his on-field performance this year certainly gives the Lions hope for the future, the team may want to take a more cautious approach. They could opt to pick up his 5th-year option and give him one more season to prove that he can stay out of trouble and avoid distractions. If he does, the Lions could reward him with a massive contract. I know this may seem frustrating to some fans who want to see Williams locked up long-term, but it's important to remember that the Lions' decision here is about finding a balance between rewarding potential and ensuring the player can handle the spotlight. From everything we've seen of Williams, however, he seems more than capable of handling the pressure and expectations that come with being a top-tier receiver in the NFL. But the big question remains: will the Lions be willing to fully commit to him this offseason, or will they take a more measured approach and wait another year? I want to hear from you, Lions fans. What do you think the team should do with Jameson Williams? Do you think they should go ahead and extend him, or are you on board with giving him one more season to prove he's the guy? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Okay, so let's talk about one of the latest hires to the Detroit Lions coaching staff for the 2025 season. We've seen some big changes and additions to the team, but the addition of Casey Rogers as the new defensive line coach is definitely a standout move. Rogers comes to Detroit with an impressive resume, boasting over 30 years of experience as a defensive line coach, and if that's not enough, he has a track record of success that will have any Lions fan excited for the future of our defensive front. Rodgers' coaching journey has been anything but ordinary. Over the past decade, he has been one of Todd Bowles' most trusted coaches. For 4 years, Rodgers worked with Bowles on the New York Jets, and when Bowles left for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Rodgers followed, spending another 6 seasons with the Bucs. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why should we care about Bowles and Rodgers' relationship? Well, here's why. Despite Bowles being a defensive-minded head coach, he's given Rodgers a ton of responsibility. In fact, starting midway through the 2017 season, Rodgers was tasked with calling defensive plays for the Jets. That's a pretty big deal, right? Not only that, but Rodgers did the same thing in the Buccaneers preseason last year, showing that Bowles trusts him to manage a defense at the highest level. Interestingly, both Dan Campbell and Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn also have deep ties to Bowles and Rodgers. In fact, Campbell spent time working with Bowles and Rodgers during his tenure with the Miami Dolphins from 2010 to 2015. That connection speaks volumes because Campbell knows firsthand how effective and experienced these coaches are, and he's been able to see how Rodgers elevates defensive linemen, which makes him a perfect fit for Detroit. Rodgers' time as the Jets' defensive coordinator hasn't exactly gone as planned. In his first season, the Jets' defense was a top 10 unit, but by the time Rodgers' tenure ended, the defense had fallen to the bottom 5 in the league. Part of that can be attributed to a lack of offensive support. Rodgers' defenses were often stuck on the field for too long, as the Jets' offense was among the worst in the league during that stretch. Still, even through this rough patch, Rodgers has shown his ability to adapt and improve. What's really exciting for the Lions is that Rodgers' best years are his most recent. Under his guidance, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have produced consistently high-level performances, especially in stopping the run and generating sacks. Those are 2 key areas that have been somewhat inconsistent for Detroit in recent seasons, so the addition of Rodgers could be just what the team needs to take its defense to the next level. Rodgers is known for instilling a sense of responsibility in his players, making sure they understand not only their own role, but how they fit into the larger scheme of the defense. His former players, like Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh, have credited Rodgers with making them more well-rounded and intelligent players. That's the kind of development that can turn a defense into a dominant force. Now, I know losing Rodgers is tough for Tampa Bay fans, but for Lions fans, this is a huge win. Detroit is getting a coach with a proven track record and a deep understanding of what it takes to succeed in the NFL. With Rodgers' expertise in run defense, player development, and overall defensive line play, the Lions are well-positioned to take a big step forward in 2025. So, Lions fans, what do you think of the addition of KC Rodgers to the coaching staff? Do you think he'll be able to help elevate the defense and bring some of that Tampa Bay magic to Detroit? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Detroit Lions. Go Lions!